Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, if you watched the television program Bewitched, you probably remember the neighbor across the street, Gladys Kravitz, and her husband Abner. Well, Abner Kravitz is the star of today's program, the Cavalcade of America. As this goes back to November 24th, 1947, this episode of the Cavalcade of America is entitled Us Pilgrims.
The DuPont Cavalcade of America, starring George Tobias. On this Thanksgiving week, the DuPont Company brings you Us Pilgrims, starring George Tobias and featuring Ralph Bell and Mercedes McCambridge on the Cavalcade of America. Now, Us Pilgrims, starring George Tobias in the dual role of Mr. Baracek and Boss Pilgrim on the Cavalcade of America. Tonight, we bring you a different type of cavalcade, a story of an immigrant's idea of the first Thanksgiving. Our story begins in a classroom.
Now write a row of W's, please.
But the pupils are grown up. It is night school.
Don't hold your pen so hard, Mr. Baracek.
It'll get away if I don't, Miss Teacher.
No, it won't. Just relax.
Baracek can't even hold pen right.
No talking, please, Mr. Bauer.
These are aliens learning to read and write simple English in order to become citizens of our country.
Now a row of X's. Mrs. Hanson, you put an umlaut on your O's again.
I could swear every time I do it.
Now the L's, class. You're making J's, Mr. Baracek.
I'm sorry, Teacher. I fix.
Baracek can't even make L's.
No talking, please, Mr. Bauer. And now the Z's. Good, class. Much better. Now, are there any questions?
Miss Haskell, why we have in America Thanksgiving?
What's so amusing, Mr. Bauer?
Some question. What Thanksgiving got to do with how we write with pens?
I think it's a very good question, Mr. Bauer. And the more you know about the United States and its history, the better citizens you'll make. Mrs. Hanson has asked why we celebrate Thanksgiving. Who can tell her?
Teacher.
Can you, Mr. Bauer?
Sure. It's holiday.
But why?
Says on calendar.
But who first made it a holiday? Why did they have the first Thanksgiving? Mr. Bauer doesn't seem to know. Does anyone else in the class?
Excuse, please, Teacher.
Yes, Mr. Baracek.
I know about first Thanksgiving.
I bet he does.
Mr. Bauer, please. Could you tell the class about Thanksgiving, Mr. Baracek?
Think so? I got little nephew, very smart. Last night, nephew recite piece in school exercise. Piece all about first Thanksgiving.
Why don't you tell us as much about it as you can, Mr. Baracek?
Sure. One question first, please. Who's Pilgrims?
Well, they were a group who came to America in 1620. They came here to find religious freedom.
Oh, then Pilgrims immigrant like us.
In a way, they were, Mr. Baracek. Now, suppose you tell us how you think the first Thanksgiving came about.
All right. It's like this. A long time ago in old country, things very bad. Bad king. One day, Boss Pilgrim is walking down street with other Pilgrim. They talking. All country is no good, say Boss Pilgrim. Not so loud, boss, say other Pilgrim. Soldiers hear you.
Teacher.
Yes, Mr. Bauer.
Does Baracek mean Pilgrims talk like that?
Sure thing. They speak English just like you and me.
Let's not have any interruptions, please. Go on with your story, Mr. Baracek.
Well, long time ago, in old country, things very tough. The king is bad. And one day, Boss Pilgrim is walking down street with Pilgrim named Benny. And Boss Pilgrim say, Benny, Old country's no good for us, Pilgrims.
Shh, boss. Soldiers hear you. Tell King.
Now, somebody ought to tell King. Tell King let us Pilgrims pray like we want. Tell King we want religious freedom. Go church like we please.
Nobody got religious freedom in 1620. That's this year.
They got in America.
Huh? What's America?
His new country Columbus discovered. And can pray any way darn please there. And that's the way it should be in old country. King or no king.
Not so loud, boss. Shh, you get us pinched.
He's better be pinched than not pray like we want to. I show, King.
What you doing, boss?
Gonna say my prayers.
Not here in street, boss. Get up. People see you. Here come soldiers, boss.
Ah, what I care for soldiers. I showed that king how to pray. God, what does Pilgrims gonna do? Things bad here.
Come on, boss. Soldiers. They love to kick us Pilgrims around.
Don't interrupt me.
I go now.
Excuse, please, God. Benny butt in. But what is Pilgrims gonna do? Things very bad here in old country. King is mean, bad man. No religious freedom. He push us Pilgrims all around. He don't let us pray like we want to.
Hey, Pilgrim.
I don't know how to say this.
What's the
Nobody,
matter,
King.
Pilgrim? You deaf?
It's a... Excuse, please, God. Another interruption. What do you want, officer?
So, we caught you praying, huh?
Yes, sir.
Why you pray in dirty street when King is nice, clean church to pray in? Huh, Pilgrim?
Feel like pray here.
Does that mean you don't like King's church to pray in? Huh, Pilgrim?
Maybe I like King's church better if I ever get what I pray for there.
What's that, Pilgrim?
Religious freedom for us Pilgrims.
I give you freedom, Pilgrim. How you like that? Next time you go to jail. And next time I catch you praying, it better be in King's church. And another thing. Next time, pray out loud.
You think God cannot hear what I ask for?
Maybe God hear all right, but we want to too. We want to be sure King like what you pray for. All right.
Soldiers. Pooh. I hate soldiers. Tell King I pray just like I want. It's me, God, again. Please help us, please, Pilgrims. We're very unhappy in old country. But what we gonna do? What is Pilgrims gonna do, God? I hear steamboat whistle. Maybe we should take boat to America. Is that what you want us to do, God? Okay, God. Us Pilgrims go to America. Thank you. Meeting will come to order, please. Fellow Pilgrims, I call you here tonight to tell you big news. God wants us to go to America.
America? You mean it, boss? America?
Today I pray, and God tell me personal. I should take boat right away and go to USA. That's other name for America.
Boss.
Oh, it's you. What do you want? What do you want, Joe?
You mean us Pilgrims should go to this America place to live?
That's right, Joe.
And give up my fruit stand?
What's the matter? You open fruit stand in America. People got to eat there, same like here.
Another thing, boss. I don't think my wife like idea. She gets seasick.
What you care how your missus feel, Joe? Important thing, do you get seasick?
No, but I don't want wife to need it. She tough enough to get along with when feel good.
Never mind who gets seasick. We're talking about going to America.
I don't think it's good idea, boss. We don't know nothing about place.
If it's good enough for God, it's good enough for us.
You think we find jobs and make living there, boss?
Benny, what kind of pilgrim you? God wouldn't tell us to go no place where there's no work.
Did he say just what USA was like?
No, but I bet it's big, beautiful, wonderful country.
Hey, boss, if it's so big, how come they just find it?
All I care is new country and can pray any way we like there.
You mean, boss, you mean they got religious freedom?
It's in Constitution.
Then I vote we go there.
Good. Then we go tomorrow night. In harbor is boat called Mayflower. Third-class steerage tickets, very reasonable.
But, boss, what about my fruit stand?
Sell it, give it away, take it with you. Only stop worry about it.
Well, all right. I go with Fresco, but I still say it's bum idea.
It's not my idea, Joe. It's God's. And I sure he have wonderful country there for us pilgrims. I bet there is big cities with tall buildings and farms where things grow like anything. And mines for coals and railroad trains and trees to chop and factories for work in and schools for kids and pretty scenery to look at. Don't God's country sound nice?
Well, if only is where you think it's going to be, boss.
God's so good to us pilgrims, Joe. I bet your wife not even seasick on way to USA.
I am so sick. Joe, hold my head. You would want to go to America.
Don't blame me. Blame boss.
You see who I blame when I get you on dry land.
Well, Mayflower boat still sailing on ocean, and trip is tough for everybody, not just Joe's wife. Then when storm stop, come bad fog, and boat get lost, and pilgrims all scared, and boss Pilgrim start praying. Please, God, don't let Mayflower hit iceberg or ferry boat in fog. Please bring us safe to America. And if we could get there pretty soon now, we would all appreciate very much. Thank you, God.
Hey, boss.
Hello, Joe. Hello, everybody.
Boss, we want to know when we get to America.
Anytime now.
Anytime now. Every day you say that.
That's right, boss.
Well, can't go very fast in fog.
First storm, now fog. I thought you haven't fixed that everything is going to be so hunky-dory on this trip. You can't even fix it so my wife can keep her supper down.
We just got to be patient.
Look, this guy Columbus, 1,492 years it took to discover America. How do you know we find it at all?
We find it.
We better find it soon.
My kids got bad colds. Need doctor.
We take them to clinic as soon as we land, Benny.
But, boss, when we land?
That's what I want to know.
All I can say is, pilgrims, is... Look. Huh? Look how quick fog is lifting.
Huh?
Look. Land. It's America.
How do you know it's America, boss?
I can see Statue of Liberty. Look.
The Statue of Liberty. What do you know? The Statue of Liberty.
November 24th, 1947, the Cavalcade of America on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more the Cavalcade of America, November 24th, 1947.
Give spyglass, somebody. Give spyglass. Here, wait. There's writing on statue. I read to you. Listen. It say, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Oh, how you like that? Well, pilgrims, didn't I tell you God not let us pilgrims down?
Congratulations, boss. Congratulations.
Boss.
Now what?
Can I have spyglass 1 minute?
Take, Joe. You see statue good?
See statue okay. But that all I do see.
What do you mean, Joe?
You promise us big cities in U.S. and farms and trains and factories and school and churches and beautiful scenery.
So?
So this America, this God's country, is nothing but a lot of woods.
Give spyglass.
Look, just woods, but there's not even people there, only wild animals. Yeah. I sold my fruit stand.
Joe, we're gonna have religious freedom.
But what about all those things you promised?
I keep my promise. It's pretty scenery, ain't it?
You are listening to Us Pilgrims. an unusual story of an immigrant's idea of the first Thanksgiving, starring George Tobias on the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company, makers of better things for better living through chemistry. Mr. Baracek, an immigrant, is going to night school to learn to become an American citizen. A discussion arose about the origin of Thanksgiving, and Mr. Baracek is telling the class his story of the Pilgrims and the first Thanksgiving, all in his own words.
So, after Mayflower get to USA, Pilgrims get off at Ellis Island.
Teacher, Baracek is crazy. Pilgrims land on a place called Plymouth Rock.
Okay, in 1620, Ellis Island was named Plymouth Rock.
Okay, but what about Statue of Liberty?
What do you mean?
There was no Statue of Liberty here in 1620, or not?
Not yourself. Liberty always here, huh, teacher?
Well, when you get through with your story, Mr. Baracek, I'll tell you just when they put the statue up. But you've got the right idea.
Bauer don't know so much.
Go on with your story, please.
So, Pilgrims get to America. It's very wild place. All woods. It's winter time. And it's very cold, and snow is very deep.
Boss! Hey, boss! Boss, listen! Hey, boss!
What do you want, Benny?
A whole bunch of tough-looking guys coming. Some kind of savages. Got red skins and feathers in hair.
I bet it's cannibals.
I ain't scared of no guys who wears feathers and hair. Come on. Who are you guys?
Friendly Indians.
Us Pilgrims. I boss Pilgrim.
I chief of friendly Indian.
You fellas live around here?
Long time. You fellas new here, ain't you?
Just got off Mayflower.
Proud to meet people who came over on Mayflower.
Say, is good country here?
The best. You like it fine. Only may take you a few days to get used to the water.
Teacher!
Now, what is it, Mr. Bauer?
Baracek don't know what he talk about.
How can? Don't even get a chance to talk.
Baracek got Indians running around loose in woods.
Where are I supposed to have Indians?
An Indian reservation. Everybody knows that.
You're wrong there, Mr. Bauer. There were no Indian reservations in those days.
Well, if I'm wrong, it ain't Baracek's fault. It's nothing but a foreigner, that Baracek.
You bet. All Americans start out like that.
That's right, Mr. Baracek. Now, will you go on, please?
Well, things get tougher and tougher for Pilgrims. Winter get worse. Pretty soon, they almost out of food.
Please, help!
Who's calling?
This fella ain't snow over here.
Oh, it's Chief of Friendly Indians. Come on.
Who's there?
It's me, Chief. Boss Pilgrim. It's me and Joe.
Give me food. Please, food.
What's the matter? What's the matter, Chief?
I get lost in woods. Not eat for days. Food.
Oh, Joe and me got pockets full sandwich, Chief. Here, take.
No, don't, boss. We need them sandwich, too.
Oh, this is starving man, Joe.
What I care is nothing but a foreigner.
Ah, he's starving man. He's starving man, and I give him sandwich whether you like or no. See? Here, Chief. Take.
It's good. A good sandwich. Chief of Friendly Indian, never forget it.
Who is it? Me, boss.
Hello, Benny.
Good evening, boss.
Hello, Mrs. How's sick kids?
Not so good, boss.
You give aspirin and castor oil like I tell?
Us Pilgrims all out of aspirin and castor oil. No place to get more, boss.
Ah, it's bad.
If only could get fresh milk for kids, I think they get well.
No complaint, Mama. Everybody else just bad off is like us.
I go see kids now.
You think we get along till spring and Mayflower come back, boss?
I don't know, Benny. We almost out of food now. I make big mistake to bring us here. I guess I no understand God right.
Maybe God no want things to be easy for us here, boss.
What do you mean?
Suppose us pilgrims come to U.S. and it's big buildings every place and jobs and delicatessens on every corner. And right away, what happens? We get so busy climbing up and down big buildings and feeling our silk shirts, we forget what we came here for, to be free.
That's right, Benny.
Being free is never easy. The Cavalcade of America, November 24th, 1947, George Tobias, starring in Us Pilgrims. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of the Cavalcade of America presentation, Us Pilgrims, starring George Tobias, November 24th, 1947.
I don't think God ever wanted easy to be free. And anybody who wanted got to work like anything for it.
If only God tell us what to do.
Benny!
Huh?
It's your first! You've got to do something about getting the meal.
Excuse me, boss. I got to talk to Mrs. She get excited. Women, you know.
God, this boss Pilgrim, I be wrong. I guess I expect things gonna be too easy. Only they can be too tough, too. Us Pilgrims can't take much more. Honest, God. What we gonna do? Excuse, please, God. Who there?
It's me, Chief of Friendly Indians.
Hello, Chief. Shake hands.
How can shake hands when both hands full of sandwich?
Sandwich?
You save life of Chief of Friendly Indians with sandwich. Chief of Friendly Indians never forget. For 4 days now, whole tribe has been making sandwich. Make 16,000 sandwich, and I've brought them all here for Pilgrims.
This is fine thing you do, Chief. Us Pilgrims almost starving.
Besides 16,000 sandwich, bring 16,000 dill pickle. Chief of Friendly Indians never forget.
You know, I pray to God for help just when you knock on the door.
Tell your God not to worry about you. Spring comes soon, and Chief of Friendly Indians show Pilgrim how to plant corn. Maybe then you invite Chief of Friendly Indians to dinner, huh? This is most beautiful tableful of food I ever see, Mr. Boss Pilgrim.
No wonder. His first Thanksgiving dinner.
Let me at that turkey.
Oh, just a minute, Joe. What's the matter with you? Say prayers before we eat. This is Thanksgiving. God, us Pilgrims want to thank you for everything. For this turkey and cranberries and all good things you let us grow. Thank you for bringing us from all country to USA. Thank you for we can pray here and work and build something fine and be free men. And may there always be room here for other pilgrims like us. Amen. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Baracek, that's very interesting. There are one or two historical inaccuracies I'll explain later. But you certainly do get the idea.
Thank you, teacher.
Wait a minute, Baracek. What about the turkey?
What do you mean about the turkey?
You say Pilgrims lived in the woods. I heard you.
That's right.
Then where did the turkey come from, Mr. Smarty Baracek?
Boss Pilgrim win it in raffle.
Our star, George Tobias, will return in just a moment. But first, here is Gain Whitman speaking for DuPont.
Other eyes than yours. The eyes of your grandfather and grandmother, your father and mother, when they were young and very much in love, have looked upon the soft fading colors of autumn leaves and found them beautiful and a little sad, discovering in them the truth that every summer must come to an end. At this time of year, with Thanksgiving Day drawing close, we are particularly conscious of those that have gone before us, conscious of our place in the endless cavalcade, which reaches from far away in the past to far away in the future. It is from the long, reassuring past that we draw strength and courage to go on. We look to the future with hope and confidence. For if we know how to give good gifts to our children, then how much more shall our Father in heaven give good things to them that ask him? No one can really doubt who knows that 7th chapter of Matthew. Shall we, as we think on the past, on the future, give thanks? Yes. Has there been no other time in the world when clouds have darkened the horizon? There have been many such times, and we've always come through. Let us give thanks. Let us give thanks as our forefathers did. Americans have much, much more for which to be thankful than they ever had. Let us count our blessings, our better things for better living, not merely from the world of science, but from the world of the spirit, in which mankind is also learning lessons, though they be slow and arduous. Let us be thankful for our freedom, symbolized by the precious documents aboard the Freedom Train. Let us be thankful for health, for friendship, for human kindness, for sincerity, for courage, wherever we find them. In this spirit of reverence, friends, I bring you cordial wishes for a joyous Thanksgiving from the men and women of the DuPont Company, makers of better things for better living through chemistry.
Now our star, George Tobias.
What Gain Whitman said is right. Over here, we have a lot to be thankful for. But in Europe, with winter, the people will be hungry. We have been asked to save food for them. Friends, let's not make a mockery of Thanksgiving. In giving thanks to him who said, "I was hungered, and he gave me meat." Let's express our thanks in a practical way. Let's share our food with those who are hungry. Good night.
Next week, the Cavalcade of America presents Van Heflin in Towards the Horizon, an exciting and dramatic adventure of the first navigation of the perilous Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. Be sure to join us again next Monday night at this same time for Van Heflin in Towards the Horizon on the DuPont Cavalcade of America. Tonight's DuPont Cavalcade, Us Pilgrims, was written by Frank Gabrielson. Featured in our cast were Ralph Bell as Bauer and Mercedes McCambridge as Miss Haskell. Danny Ockel played the chief of the Friendly Indians. Music was composed by Arden Cornwell and conducted by Donald Bryan. George Tobias can soon be seen in the Eagle Lion film Adventures of Casanova. This is Bill Hamilton inviting you to listen next week to Van Heflin in Towards the Horizon on the Cavalcade of America, brought to you by the DuPont Company of Wilmington, Delaware.
November 24th, 1947, The Cavalcade of America on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 4 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Amy Bradshaw Matter. This was originally broadcast November 24th, 1955.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Al Centella at police headquarters, Johnny.
Better get over here to my hotel room, Al. I've got company.
Who is it?
Bill York.
Amy Bradshaw's ex-husband?
Right. I caught him watching her apartment half an hour ago, and he's the one who was watching it the other night. This time I had better luck catching him.
Has he opened up yet?
No, but he will.
Johnny, take it easy with him.
I think he's got plenty to tell us. Looks like he's the boy we're after, Al.
I'll be right over.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. New York City. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. To the Home Office, Northwestern Indemnity Alliance, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Amy Bradshaw matter. Amy, star of a Broadway play, and somebody was out to get her. Expense account item 10, $3. Repairs to one coat sleeve. Torn in the process of inviting Bill York up to my hotel room.
Look, Dolly, you've got no right to drag me up here to your room this way.
York, you're going to sit right here until you open up and tell me all about the attempt on Amy Bradshaw's life.
What?
You come in. Oh, Al.
Hi, Johnny.
York, this is Detective Lieutenant Al Centella.
Now, look here, Lieutenant, what's this all about?
Well, I kind of thought that's what you'd tell us, Mr. York.
But this is crazy. Why would I want to kill Amy?
You're aware that you're still the beneficiary on Amy's insurance policy.
What? Even if I am...
Also, you need money, and you need it bad. You're several $1,000s in debt to Mike Pomeroy, Amy's agent. He's been pressing you for it lately.
Look, Dollar.
And you know you can't get the manuscript of your novel out of hock from him until you pay off. You've got 2 strikes against you, York. Motive and opportunity.
Opportunity? Sure, but motive? No, Dollar. I've never had any reason to kill Amy. It's true she and I couldn't make it together, but I guess that was more my fault than hers.
Go on.
You see, Amy's never let anything stand in the way of what she wanted. What she wanted, I didn't. I guess we just lived in 2 different worlds.
What do you mean?
She's always been a success, and I've always been a failure.
You still haven't explained why you lied to me, York.
Lied?
When I talked to you this morning, you told me you hadn't been near Amy for a long time. But when I caught up with you in front of her apartment tonight, I realized you were the same one who was watching it night before last.
How about that, York?
You fellas don't believe me much.
What do you mean?
Sure, once in a while I go stand outside her apartment house, look up at the light on the window, maybe think a little about how things might have been. That's all.
Maybe you better come downtown with me, York. We'll check your story further. If you're clean, you got nothing to worry about.
All right, Lieutenant.
Sergeant, take Mr. York down to the car and wait for me there. Johnny? Who else have you talked to?
Oh, everybody close to her. But the one who interests me most is her agent, Mike Pomeroy. He can be a pretty rough customer when he wants to. And he thinks Amy's standing in the way of a career for an actress he's currently interested in.
Let's talk about somebody else for a moment.
Who?
You, Johnny. I think you're getting a little bit out of line.
What do you mean?
Down at police headquarters, we got a little black book. It tells us what to do and what not to do. It doesn't say anything about insurance investigators dragging possible suspects to their hotel room to question them.
Listen, Al, when I'm assigned to a case, I usually try to break it any way I can.
I know. It's just that I think you're taking this case pretty big.
Meaning?
Yesterday I told you that if I didn't know you better, I'd think you were falling for Amy a little yourself. Think it over, Johnny.
Expense account item 11, $4, drinks. For me. I thought about what Al Centella had said. The possibility I was falling for Amy Bradshaw. Thought about it for 2 hours. Finally, I decided I had to find out if he was right. I went over to Amy's apartment.
It was good of you to come over, Johnny. I just can't seem to sleep lately.
Yeah.
I noticed there's a policeman on duty down in the lobby.
Lieutenant Centella arranged for that.
It's funny. It should make me feel better, but it doesn't. It just keeps reminding me of it. The threat on my life. I'm glad you're here, Johnny.
So am I.
Awfully glad. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but...
Do you hear any objections?
Oh, well, who could... Excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
Hello? Yes? Oh, Porter. What? No, I'm sorry. No, really, Porter, it's out of the question. No, Good night, Porter.
Kane, huh?
Yes, I suppose he means well. But he can be rather annoying. Do you have a cigarette, Johnny?
Here.
Thanks. You seem rather quiet tonight.
Oh, just thinking, I guess.
It's funny.
Hmm.
A meeting like this.
Yeah.
Just a few days ago, I didn't know you at all. And now,
And now what?
I don't know, Johnny. I don't know.
Amy.
It was a mistake, Johnny. I'm sorry.
Was it?
Yes. Johnny, I'm afraid I've hurt a couple of people in the past. I don't want to hurt you.
Don't worry, you won't.
And that's the wonderful thing about being an actress. You play so many parts.
The kiss. That was playing a part, huh?
Even if it weren't, Johnny, it'd be no good. There'd always be something between us. It's right over there on the mantel.
The clock?
Yes. We can't turn it back. If I'd met you a long time ago before Mike, but I didn't.
No.
So?
Is the clock so bad, Amy?
It is to an actress. Sometimes I pretend it isn't there. You ever do that, Johnny?
No, it doesn't do any good.
But you can try. You can live a whole life trying. Isn't that really what we all do?
I don't know.
We go along playing our parts, doing what we have to do, pretending the clock isn't there. But all the while it is. And though we keep on fighting against it, we know we can't turn it back. We can't even stop it.
One thing I'd accomplished, I guess. I'd decided I wouldn't be seeing Amy anymore after this case was wound up. Winding it up, though, was another question, and I was still as far from home as ever on it. But I couldn't seem to get Porter Kane and his quaint little hobby of collecting things out of my mind.
Why, good evening, Mr. Dollar.
Hello, Mr. Kane.
Come in, come in.
Thanks. I know it's late. I'm sorry.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I was hoping I'd see you again.
I don't want to keep you. I see your hat and coat.
No, I'm not going out. I've just come in.
Oh. You said you were hoping you'd see me again?
Yes, I enjoyed our other little chat very much. I suppose you came to talk some more about Amy Bradshaw.
Matter of fact, Mr. Kane, I came to talk about you.
Splendid.
And about your hobby.
Collecting. A fascinating hobby, Mr. Dollar.
You take it pretty seriously, don't you?
I've devoted most of my life to it. And I may say that I've succeeded rather brilliantly with it. Each item in my collection is incomparable, without equal.
Yeah, one of a kind.
And that, of course, is precisely why Amy is necessary to complete the collection. The crowning and final edition.
Final?
Yes. For your information, Mr. Dollar, when I've acquired Amy, I intend to cease my hobby.
Oh.
She will complete my collection. Without her, though, it is still incomplete.
Mind if I ask you a couple of questions, Mr. Kane?
Not at all.
You seem to have been pretty successful with your collection. Have you ever run up against an item you wanted but couldn't get?
Of course not. That just doesn't happen.
Has it ever happened?
I can't remember that it ever... Yes. Yes, it did happen once.
When?
When I was 9 years old. A playmate of mine had a lollipop that I admired greatly. He wouldn't give it to me, and he wouldn't sell it to me.
What did you do?
I did the only logical thing there was to do. I smashed the lollipop, Mr. Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's episode of the Amy Bradshaw Matter.
Tomorrow? Well, it's the wind-up, and a pretty rough one. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
And what an ending I expect it will be. November 24th, 1955. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. May I take a moment to thank you for tuning in and to thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. If you miss a day, you do not have to miss a single episode of Classic Radio Theater. You don't. All of our shows are available on demand via podcast. Stream them at classicradio.stream. You can find them also through a list of places that we have at the website where you can download them or subscribe to them on your phone or your desktop. You can also find our social media links. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. And you can contact me. You can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money goes to help us expand our classic radio collection and to help us keep our distribution channels up and running. Thanks so much for being with us. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.